Growing tensions in the Indo-Pacific region are affecting not only Asian countries, but also the rest of the world. Most of the global trade passes the South China Sea, which is now under increasing military conflicts. China, which implements their imaginary 9-dash line, occupies and militarizes most of the atolls and islets in the Paracels Islands and Spratlys group of islands, making them a nuisance for ocean vessels and aircraft, which regularly passes the waterways and airspace. In accordance to the increasing threat to regional security, military analyst predicts there is a need to double up on production and development of new type of weapons to counter ever-growing threat from aggressors undermining world peace. The stealth aircraft. Welcome back to Military Tensions News. Stealth aircraft are designed to avoid detection using a variety of technologies that reduce reflection of radar signal, emission of infrared, visible light, radio frequency spectrum, and audio, collectively known as stealth technology. The F-117 Nighthawk was the first operational aircraft specifically designed around stealth technology. Other examples of stealth aircraft include the B-2 Spirit, the B-21 Raider, the F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Lightning II, the Chengdu J-20, and the Sukhoi Su-57. While no aircraft is totally invisible to radar, stealth aircraft make it more difficult for conventional radar to detect or track the aircraft effectively, increasing the odds of an aircraft successfully avoiding detection by enemy radar and avoiding being successfully targeted by radar-guided weapons. Stealth is the combination of passive low observable features and active emitters such as low probability of intercept radars, radios, and laser designators. These are usually combined with active measures such as carefully planning all mission maneuvers in order to minimize the aircraft's radar cross-section, since common actions such as hard turns or opening bomb bay doors can more than double an otherwise stealthy aircraft's radar return. It is accomplished by using a complex design philosophy to reduce the ability of an opponent's sensors to detect, track, or attack the stealth aircraft. This philosophy also takes into account the heat, sound, and other emissions of the aircraft, as these can also be used to locate it. Sensors made to reduce the impact of current low observable technologies exist or have been proposed, such as IRST infrared search and track systems to detect even reduced heat emissions, long wavelength radars to counter stealth shaping, and RAM focused on shorter wavelength radar or radar setups with multiple emitters to counter stealth shaping. However, these do so with disadvantages compared to traditional radar against non-stealthy aircraft. Full-size stealth combat aircraft demonstrators have been flown by the United States in 1977, Russia in 2000, and China in 2011. As of December 2020, the only combat-ready stealth aircraft in service are the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, 1997, the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor, 2005, the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, 2015, the Chengdu J-20, 2017, and the Sukhoi Su-57, 2020, with a number of other countries developing their own designs. There are also various aircraft with reduced detectability, either unintentionally or as a secondary feature. In the 1999 NATO bombing of Yugoslavia, 2 stealth aircraft were used by the United States, the veteran F-117 Nighthawk and the newly introduced B-2 Spirit strategic stealth bomber. The F-117 performed its usual role of striking precision high-value targets and performed well, although one F-117 was shot down by a Serbian Isaev S-125 Neva M missile brigade commanded by Colonel Zoltan Dani, Modern stealth aircraft first became possible when Dennis Overholser, a mathematician working for Lockheed Aircraft during the 1970s, adopted a mathematical model developed by Petr Ufimtsev, a Soviet scientist, to develop a computer program called Echo-1. Echo made it possible to predict the radar signature of an aircraft made with flat panels, called facets. In 1975, engineers at Lockheed Skunk Works found that an aircraft made with faceted surfaces could have a very low radar signature, because the surfaces would radiate almost all of the radar energy away from the receiver. For the first time, designers realized that it might be possible to make an aircraft that was virtually invisible to radar. Reduced radar cross-section is only one of 5 factors the designers addressed to create a truly stealthy design such as the F-22. The F-22 has also been designed to disguise its infrared emissions to make it harder to detect by infrared homing heat-seeking surface-to-air or air-to-air missiles. Designers also addressed making the aircraft less visible to the naked eye, controlling radio transmissions and noise abatement. Early stealth aircraft were designed with a focus on minimal radar cross-section, RCS, rather than aerodynamic performance. Highly stealthy aircraft like the F-117 Nighthawk are aerodynamically unstable in all 3 axes, and require constant flight corrections from a fly-by-wire flight system to maintain controlled flight. As for the B-2 Spirit, which was based on the development of the flying wing aircraft by Jack Northrop in 1940. This design allowed for a stable aircraft with sufficient yaw control, even without vertical surfaces such as rudders. Earlier stealth aircraft such as the F-117 and B-2 lack afterburners, because the hot exhaust would increase their infrared footprint, and flying faster than the speed of sound would produce an obvious sonic boom, as well as surface heating of the aircraft skin, which also increases the infrared footprint. As a result, their performance in air combat maneuvering required in a dogfight would never match that of a dedicated fighter aircraft. This was unimportant in the case of these 2 aircraft since both were designed to be bombers. More recent design techniques allow for stealthy designs such as the F-22 without compromising aerodynamic performance. Newer stealth aircraft, like the F-22, F-35, and the Su-57, have performance characteristics that meet or exceed those of current frontline jet fighters, due to advances in other technologies such as flight control systems, engines, airframe construction, and materials. The high level of computerization and large amount of electronic equipment found inside stealth aircraft are often claimed to make them vulnerable to passive detection. This is highly unlikely, and certainly systems such as Tamara and Kolchuga, which are often described as counter-stealth radars, are not designed to detect stray electromagnetic fields of this type. Such systems are designed to detect intentional, higher power emissions such as radar and communication signals. Stealth aircraft are deliberately operated to avoid or reduce such emissions. Stealth aircraft are still vulnerable to detection while and immediately after using their weaponry, since stealth payload like reduced RCS bombs and cruise missiles is not yet generally available, and ordnance mount points create a significant radar return. Stealth aircraft carry all armaments internally. As soon as weapons bay doors are opened, the plane's RCS will be multiplied, and even older generation radar systems will be able to locate the stealth aircraft. While the aircraft will reacquire its stealth as soon as the bay doors are closed, a fast response defensive weapons system has a short opportunity to engage the aircraft. This vulnerability is addressed by operating in a manner that reduces the risk and consequences of temporary acquisition. The B-2's operational altitude imposes a flight time for defensive weapons that makes it virtually impossible to engage the aircraft during its weapons deployment. New stealth aircraft designs such as the F-22 and F-35 can open their bays, release munitions, and return to stealthy flight in less than a second. Such aircraft as the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter can also carry additional weapons and fuel on hardpoints below their wings. When operating in this mode, the planes will not be nearly as stealthy, as the hardpoints and the weapons mounted on those hardpoints will show up on radar systems. This option therefore represents a trade-off between stealth or range and payload. External stores allow those aircraft to attack more targets further away, but will not allow for stealth during that mission as compared to a shorter range mission flying on just internal fuel and using only the more limited space of the internal weapon bays for armaments. In a 1994 live fire exercise near Point Mugu, California, a U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit dropped 47 500-pound class Mark 82 bombs, which represents about half of a single B-2's total ordnance payload in Block 30 configuration. Fully stealth aircraft carry all fuel and armament internally, which limits the payload. By way of comparison, the F-117 carries only 2 laser or GPS-guided bombs, while a non-stealth attack aircraft can carry several times more. This requires the deployment of additional aircraft to engage targets that would normally require a single non-stealth attack aircraft. This apparent disadvantage, however, is offset by the reduction in fewer supporting aircraft that are required to provide air cover, air defense suppression, and electronic countermeasures, making stealth aircraft force multipliers. Stealth aircraft often have skins made with radiation-absorbent materials or RAMs. Some of these contain carbon black particles, while some contain tiny iron spheres. There are many materials used in RAMs, and some are classified, particularly the materials that specific aircraft use. Stealth aircraft are typically more expensive to develop and manufacture. An example is the B-2 Spirit that is many times more expensive to manufacture and support than conventional bomber aircraft. The B-2 program cost the U.S. Air Force almost $45 billion. The U.S., UK, and Israel are the only countries to have used stealth aircraft in combat. These deployments include the United States invasion of Panama, the First Gulf War, the Kosovo conflict, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, and the 2011 military intervention in Libya. Stealth aircraft will continue to play a valuable role in air combat with the United States using the F-22 Raptor, B-2 Spirit, and the F-35 Lightning II to perform a variety of operations. The F-22 Raptor made its combat debut over Syria in September 2014 as part of the U.S.-led coalition to defeat ISIS. From February 2018, Su-57s performed the first international flight as they were spotted landing at the Russian Khmeimim Air Base in Syria. These Su-57s were deployed along with 4 Sukhoi Su-35 fighters, 4 Sukhoi Su-25s, and 1 Bereev A-50 AEW and C aircraft. It is believed that at least 4 Su-57 are deployed in Syria and that they have likely been armed with cruise missiles in combat. In 2018, a report surfaced noting that Israeli F-35I stealth fighters conducted a number of missions in Syria and even infiltrated Iranian airspace without detection. In May 2018, Major General Amikam Norkin of IAF reported that Israeli Air Force F-35I stealth fighters carried out the first ever F-35 strike in combat over Syria. The People's Republic of China started flight testing its Chengdu J-20 stealth multirole fighter around in 2011 and made its first public appearance at Airshow China 2016. The aircraft entered service with the People's Liberation Army Air Force in March 2017. Another fifth-generation stealth multirole fighter from China, the Shenyang FC-31, is also under flight testing. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more military tensions news.